Hello everyone, thank you for watching this video. If you don't know, my name is Torie and I'm the founder and CEO of Epilepsy Sparks, and I have some really exciting information and people to introduce you to. Let me introduce you to Chrissy Walker, who is the Ops Director of Neuronostics, with whom I'm working, and we are about to put together, or start putting together, a new app, and Chrissy is going to tell you all about that and what makes the app different from the others.
Thanks, Torie. So yeah, we got recently were awarded £50,000 from Innovate UK, which is one of the government funding organisations. And the purpose of the funding is to develop an app to help support the epilepsy community. The app is called Connect to Ep, and the purpose is really to connect people with epilepsy up with the research that is going on all the time. You know, that researchers every day are working to develop all sorts of new ideas and solutions to help people with epilepsy. And what we really want to do is help bring that research much closer to the people that will benefit from it. So we've talked through a few ideas with you as well already about having researchers record videos, short videos, a bit like this one, talking through their own research, talking through how people can access research themselves. That can be quite difficult. There's loads of journals out there, not all of them are very accessible to people. And also, so many amazing organisations already exist that have already created loads of resources. We're trying not to reinvent the wheel. Right. We just want to act as a signpost and get people out there accessing research and resources that are already there, but maybe aren't being accessed as much.
And I think what's great about us having access to this research and things written in layman's terms where possible is that even if our epilepsy is absolutely awful right now, we can look at something positive, which is crucial for us lot. So, in addition to being able to access and understand, at least to a degree, that information, the app I love saying we are putting together, it's also going to have sort of the bog standard functions of recording your seizures, giving notifications of when to take your meds, and then possibly poking you again in case you've forgotten to take them again. I need that. And yeah, what else? See, I've gone and forgotten it now, epilepsy brain.
Well, this is what we'd really love to get people's views on. So we've had some ideas, you know, diet and exercise trackers, mood trackers. One of the really helpful things about, you know, recording that information down is that it helps you spot patterns that you wouldn't necessarily be able to see just day to day. And you know what we'd love to do long term actually is as people are recording that data, hopefully we can't do this with the funding that we've got for this version of the app, but longer term we could look at maybe aggregating that data up and then looking for patterns across a larger epilepsy population. That's all longer term, but yeah, the primary function of the first version of the app will be really highlighting and signposting to people that there's research going on right now, and you know, some of it will have an impact soon, you know, in the next sort of 12 months, and some of it is longer term, but it's all going on. Another, I think, really important aspect is to encourage people to take part in research themselves as well.
Right, it gives us some sort of purpose, you know, knowing that we're not just a digit, a bit like us asking them to take part in this survey, in this questionnaire, is the way that we, people with the diagnosis, see our lives and see what it's like to have epilepsy and trying to cope with it. That is what matters, because otherwise, you know, we could just go and put together a bog standard app, of which there are many out there already, and it would quite frankly be a waste. And we don't want it to make it that. We want to make it different, easy to use, interesting, because we're going to show the research bits in a couple of videos as well, right? And then, of course, you know, empower people with the ability to record their personal details.
Yeah. Useful reminders, because I know it can sometimes take a while, for instance, to you know, your medication changes. It can be difficult to remember what's in there, so it becomes a place to record that information as well. But yeah, the bit that I think you and I are both excited about is getting researchers, you know, to talk through what's really going on, because they're all really interesting people doing really exciting and fun things, and a lot of people just don't realize that's going on. So it'll be
I
great
totally
to...
used to. I didn't know, even though I loved science and I loved learning, not that I could remember it all the time, but I loved all of that, but I just didn't know where to look to find that. And I was so tired all the time. And my memory was so pants, I would kind of forget to go and look for it. And I think that's the case for so many of us. So to have this on the app that we're putting together, assuming people are interested, I hope you lot are, because I am, that, you know, this is what we need, right?
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes the way the research is written up isn't actually very accessible. Right. Even though the researchers know the interesting thing that's happening in it. And so what would be really great is for the researchers to explain exactly why it's fascinating that this new discovery has been made, and, you know, for us to understand a little bit more about some of the current big questions around epilepsy, and just have people come on and just share their passion and their interest with the research that they're doing, and why it will make a difference.
And also, do you know what, but learning about this research through our app to be is fantastic for, in my opinion, my humble opinion, for giving those affected by epilepsy more confidence in what we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, the world really doesn't know an awful lot about epilepsy. I mean, a lot more than we used to, but this, you know, it's the human brain, right? So being able to quote or refer people back to the research that they see on our app, I think it's great, you know. But for me, it is just one of the most important things for this app that we're going to be developing. Is it's going to empower people. Yeah, and you know what, seeing those patterns, do you know what, somebody asked me, I'm digressing as usual, but somebody asked me, oh, so you know that you weren't very well a couple of weeks ago and it was all to do with such and such. I was like, no, really? Was I? And I had literally just forgotten, just because my memory is so rubbish, even though it was to do with me. And this happens to heaps of us. So using this app to do it for you will be really cool.
Yeah, I think the act of writing things down, the act of recording things, sometimes makes it much more obvious and much more apparent to you. Like you say, everybody's busy with their own lives, aren't they? And especially, you know, when things that are quite difficult happen, sometimes it's easy just to try and kind of move on and forget about them. But by recording things down, you've got that record. You can then also share it with your medical team as well, which is also really helpful. So yeah, and then you can also dig into the terms. Maybe there's always new medical terms being introduced.
Oh, I know. And sometimes they sound really la-di-da, and we're just like, okay, mate, what is that in English? Can you just please, you know, transcribe, what's the word? Translate rather that word to me. And that's what we're going to do with this, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's already so many brilliant resources up. I mean, your own site's got loads of them as well, isn't there? About, you know, vocabulary and charities doing great work. So we're not looking to repeat what's already out there. It's just saying globally there are so many different resources, you know, so many different organizations. We just want to raise the profile of all these activities that are already going on anyway. And, you know, connecting people up, it really is just about making the world a little bit smaller. You know, the current lockdown that we're in at the moment, I think, has really raised that, hasn't it? That you can so quickly connect up with all these wonderful people globally. And hopefully the app will help convey that a bit, focusing in on the research that's going on globally.
Yeah, and knowing that we're not forgotten. Because I think sometimes, like, I no doubt have been told in the past about something to do with research, but I'll forget that. So I'll think that I am forgotten. Whereas at least with this app that we will hopefully develop perfectly because of everybody's contribution in the questionnaire, we can refer back to it. That's what I want, for people to have reassurance that you are not forgotten, and reassurance that if you forget that stuff, don't worry, mate, because you would have put the details into the app for yourself, wouldn't you? And it'll also be great, I think, for people who love you as well. So it's reassuring for them too. And this isn't the same for everybody, but like for me, the more I learn, the bit less depressed I feel, because I feel a bit more, oh God, I keep using this term, but empowered. You know, it is, even if you can't change the world, if you understand things a bit more and know that there are people out there working to help you, things aren't, maybe just sometimes not quite as bad. And that's what loads and loads of us need. And yeah, so that's why people should, please guys, fill in this questionnaire.
Yeah, and I think also by getting involved in research, you know, it doesn't improve the world immediately, but what it does do is people coming up behind, you know, that people that are going to be diagnosed with epilepsy over the next 5-10 years, they will have a better pathway to diagnosis, hopefully a quicker pathway to diagnosis and to, you know, stabilizing, because of the research that we can be, you know, rolling out and getting involved with today.
Indeed. And do you know what, also, if you look at it from the perspective of those who are diagnosed with epilepsy but actually don't have epilepsy, because that happens a lot, and we have people who are doped up on these drugs unnecessarily. In fact, it might be NEAD or some other, you know, issue. So it's important either way, whether you have epilepsy or not, to have effective testing, see how you can best be treated, what the diagnosis is. Oh, you've frozen. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, you're back. Was I frozen too?
Yeah, you looked frozen to me. I don't know who was frozen, but
it's the passion with which we speak. Anyway, I hope everyone kind of got the gist of what we're trying to say. This is really, really important, not just for us, but more for, you know, those 65 million plus, and no doubt a lot more pluses there, affected by epilepsy, because this actually isn't just going to be available in the UK, is it? But pretty much everywhere. So if you're in India, if you're in China, if you're in Japan, Australia, the States, Canada, Brazil, Greenland, you know, this will be available to you. So we're going to have like our global community, darlings, of all these people contributing, and that is wonderful. And you mentioned that before, knowing you're not the only one.
Yeah. And, you know, from the other perspective, I think it's really, I think researchers love being able to talk about their research to people with epilepsy, you know, feeling like they're able to talk about it to people that understand the problems. So, you know, the important thing is connecting up the people, you know, with lived experience of epilepsy with research. But the researchers, I think, will really enjoy getting out there and talking to people with epilepsy as well about the research that's going on too.
Yeah, every researcher I've ever spoken to has just been like, oh gosh, so you're a person who this could possibly affect, or you know someone that this could benefit. And like, yeah. And there's always a conversation to be had, so they know that they're working for a purpose that is. And you know what's also interesting? It was a piece written for Epilepsy Research UK last week by Gareth Morris. And gosh, he's important, I remember his name. And it was about how you can have research into epilepsy which does not, the results of which is entirely opposite to what you expected. And people will be like, oh my goodness, that's awful. And it's like, no, it's not awful. It's actually quite exciting, because we are not going to be doing that experiment again. We can actually focus funds and resources on another channel, which is more likely to benefit people with epilepsy. So there's no such thing as a bad result in epilepsy research.
Yeah.
God, we could go on forever, but anyway. So what's the link for everybody to do this quick test? It could take you 5 minutes, really. It's really quick, and you can do it on your phone. I did it on my phone.
Yes, it works very well on smartphones actually, which is great, because obviously most of us access it through smartphones these days. I haven't got the small link to hand. I don't know.
Ooh, I have, but this is terrible. I'm going to leave you 1 second. I'll be back. Hang on. Gosh, I really should not try and be Arnie. Hang on. Right. Righty-ho. Here we go. It is. So it's, do you know what? I'm going to hold it up. Okay. So bit.ly, I can't read backwards, bit.ly/, is that 2x, capital X, capital P, small o, B for Bravo, N for November, capital, and is that a D? A small D. Yes.
And I think there'll probably be a link under the video as well, won't there?
Yeah, I'll put a link under the video, and it's all over our social media too. But yeah, it won't take long. If you Yes. So either way, there is no reason a person cannot do it, and your data is safe. So don't worry, everyone. Safe.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. We will be, by the way, everybody, thank you to Chrissy. We will be doing one of these again in the future, which she's like, thanks. But because Neuronostics are doing such amazing things, of which Chrissy is a key part, we are going to want to do updates on all of this.
Yeah,
especially when we make some key decisions as a result of the research which everyone's contributing to.
Yeah, I mean, that's another aspect of getting involved with the survey that's live at the moment. At the end, it'll ask if you want to become part of the user group,
yes.
which will be a smaller group that will be involved in testing it, you know, when the first iterations come out before it's publicly released, just making sure that it works and that it makes sense for people, you know, when they first download it and things. So if you're really interested in how apps work and you'd really like to get involved, fill that in the survey, and you could well get involved in our testing group.
Yes, well, I'm excited about that. All right, perfect. Thank you so much, and we'll speak soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, Torie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.